Good morning, everybody. It's Paola Migliorini speaking from University of Gastronomic Science. I'm going to give you the second part of the class on relation to territories for a diverse and resilient food system. The intended learning outcomes is to reflect on and understand the role and importance of embedded food system for the overall food system sustainability, with particular focus on diversity and resilience of the food system. After this course, you will be able to understand the concept of sustainable agriculture and food system, describe how to define it, give example of sustainability assessment for agriculture and food system, implement how to measure sustainability with sustainability indicators. The content refers to sustainability in the food system, looking at spatial, social, economic, cultural, environmental aspects, and methodologies to assess dimension of sustainability. The concept of sustainable agriculture is derived from sustainable development that United Nations defined in 1983 as the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. In 1989, FAO defined a sustainable development, the one that in agriculture, forestry, and fisheries sectors conserve land, water, plant, and animal genetic resource, is environmentally non-degrading, technically appropriate, economically viable, and socially acceptable. From those derive the sustainable agriculture and food system definitions. That according to ICARD in 1993, it's divided in 3 dimensions, and the sustainability approach is the intersector of these 3 domains, and so a system should be bearable, equitable, and viable. There are 2 approaches to sustainability, according to Hansen in 1996, the philosophical approach that defines alternative strategies and so best practice to apply, or the reached goal. So we have to define the system properties, structural and functional, and then identify spatial boundaries and time scale of the system. Conway in 1987 defined sustainability as resilience, so the ability of a system to maintain productivity in spite of major disturbances. And Miguel Altieri in 1987 defined the capacity of agro-ecosystem to maintain production over time, over long-term ecological limitation and socio-economic pressing. Being a complex issue, sustainability depends on the perspective taken when looking at the system. So when we want to define a sustainability methodology, we have to think about sustainable for who. Several conceptual frameworks and methodologies have been developed to assess agriculture and food sustainability, and they use different indicators at global, international, and farm levels. FELMS was one of the first, is an international framework for evaluating sustainable land management. Pressure state response, driver pressure state impact response indicator has been developed by European Union. The MESMIS framework was developed by Lopez Ridaura in South America, evaluating the sustainability of complex socio-environmental systems. RISE is a method for assessing the sustainability of agricultural production at farm level, developed in Central Europe. MOTIVS is a French monitoring tool for integrated farm sustainability. LCA, the life cycle assessment, is an international standard that has been widely developed in the Swiss farming system to compare integrated and organic farming as well as intensive versus extensive farming. AESIS is an indicator-based framework to evaluate sustainability of farming system developed by the University of Florence. And a methodology for the sustainability assessment of agri-food system has been developed in the slow food context. The SOAN, Sustainable Organic Agriculture Action Nectar, has been developed by IFAN, and SAFAM is the Sustainability Assessment of Food and Agricultural System developed by FAO that is very global and complete. More recently, to evaluation system has been developed specifically for the agroecological context. The first is TAPE, Tool for Agroecology Performance Evaluation, developed by FAO. And OASIS, Original Agroecological Survey and Indicator System, has been developed by Agroecology Europe Association. In this picture, you see an example of evolution of a set of OASIS indicator over 3 times for one dimension, that is agroecological techniques or practice adoption. In order to deal with sustainability, the first things we need to do is to define the concept of sustainability and understanding the deep meaning of it, and so clarify what are the principles of sustainability. Then we have to understand the objectives to be achieved. So to answer to this question, what should be sustained? And to define the system boundaries both in spatial and time. Finally, we have to select an indicator system for each objectives and the typology of indicators, because indicators can be very diverse according to the total quantity of information needed. For example, scientists select indicators that are very generally needs a huge amount of time and sometimes also costly analysis. Completely different for the farmer, because they need something that is very often self-assessed and is qualitative, quite fast to do it and replicable. And policymakers very often need indicators that condense information in a unique index. Finally, the last step of the methodology development is how to judge. So after collecting all the indicators, we have to understand what is the qualitative result of it. Bell and Morse in 1999 published a very nice book measuring the immeasurable, because sustainability is a very complex issue. So in order to judge, there are 4 systems. The first approach is to compare the system over time. So I can compare, for example, a farm in a time frame of 5 years, and to see if some dimension of sustainability were more developed than before. Then I can compare systems that are homogeneous, for example, horticultural farms within a region, or livestock system in a given area, and so on and so forth. I can't compare systems that are completely different. In that case, the only things I can do is to define optimal objectives for the indicators or the threshold limits. So a limit underneath the indicator is not sustainable. This is the example of SOAN, so the best practice approach of the agriculture and value chain in the organic sector. It is divided in 5 dimensions: the classical, economic, ecologic, and society. And in addition, they have culture and accountability system. And this picture showed the SAFA, the Sustainability Assessment of Food and Agricultural System, developed by FAO. In this approach, there are 4 dimensions: the classical, environmental, economy, and social, and they add governance, that more or less is the accountability in the previous example. And here they have 6 levels. They are not relevant. Then there is the unacceptable level of sustainability, the limited, the moderate level of sustainability, the good, and the best. Now I would like that you discuss, first reflect on your own, and then share from your perspective what are the role, importance of embedded food system for the overall food system sustainability. And in your respective case studies, in your case that you choose for this Good Food course, what would be improved and how? What is the plan of action to move on? So the workshop that you will do on Thursday, 24 June at 13:30 Rome time, I ask you kindly to prepare 1-3 slides answering to these questions and be ready to give a 5-minute presentation, then we will discuss later. I leave you the list of reference that is quite long, but all of them are very good paper that I have mentioned in my presentation, in addition to the 2 that I provided as a compulsory activity. So I thank you for your attention.